You practice, I make progress. It's the Postman. You're listening to me on the 3 Count Podcast.
Weighing in at an unbelievable weight that you might hate, but you can't even
Dang, how fast would you find that drag ball at?
Now entering
Welcome
the
everybody
ring.
to another great edition of the 3 Count Podcast presents Now Entering the Ring. I'm your host, Clifford Red Dog Miller, the one that leads you on all your expeditions. And we always know it's not about me, it's about what's next. This is Now Entering the Ring, which means one thing. We have a special guest for you, and this person can be found as Invictus Pro, GSW, TCW, MFP. Wow. BCW, and she currently is a TCW Goddess Champion. She is the Vivacious, the Vicious, and one thing I'm going to include here, Victorious Vicky.
That's right. Thank you for that amazing introduction. I must say, that was amazing.
Hey, I appreciate it. I'm starting to take a little bit more pride of myself on these little intros that I'm trying to put together.
No, that was great. Very good. Very good.
Oh, but how are you doing?
I'm great, man. I mean, overall, life's pretty good. You know, I'm just hanging there, doing the can with what I got. You know.
Yeah. You're starting to break up a little bit right there for a quick second.
I'm sorry.
It's all good.
Sorry, introductions.
Don't worry. We'll just wait till you come back.
Am I back?
Kind of back.
Come on, the whole time, you know, guys, you were talking off air and everything, no problem. And all of a sudden, we're on air, we're having technical difficulties. So I don't know, guys.
It happens. It's but no, let's. I mean, like I said, thank you, for coming on.
Yep.
Definitely appreciate it.
For sure.
It was cool because when I met you at Invictus, right? I saw you and I was like, that's Vicky. I said I need to go talk to her, just kind of confirm with her that, hey, we're gonna plan up this interview. And then I saw you were talking with somebody and you were talking to another person. I was like, man, she's busy. I was like, I'm just gonna chill for a second. And then after the show, just coincidentally, you were just chilling out, and I was like, all right, I'm just gonna cruise up and just say what's up and then introduce myself.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you did, man. For sure.
But let's get this started. Let's find out. I need to know, who is the Vivacious, the Vicious Vicky?
So the Vivacious Vicious Vicky is Jersey royalty, the queen goddess, the only goddess that will ever matter in professional wrestling, and the absolute best thing to ever happen to your screens. Now, the Vivacious Vicious Vicky is very, very clear on who she is. And I will tell you, if you haven't watched, you should. And if you haven't yet, well, I feel bad for you, because I am extremely confident who I am and what I do. Every time that I step out in the ring, I make it very apparent why I'm there and why I win. It's very simple.
Definitely. And there was no apparent reason. I was just watching you work on at Invictus Pro, and you made it very clear.
Yeah, man.
This is what's going down.
That's right. Whatever it takes to win. That's what Vicious Vicky's about. Whatever it takes.
I like it. So what brought you into the business?
So for me, I've been a fan nearly my entire life. My sisters were the first people to ever watch wrestling and be into it and whatnot. And as a young kid, my sisters were watching, and I just was hooked, from a very, very young age, maybe 3 or 4. And for me, it was, my sisters were fans and whatnot, but for me, it was more of that, okay, this is what I want to do with my life. This is what I'm intrigued by. This is what I want to do. And it took me, oh my goodness, 15 years to actually like portray that dream. I did like youth clinics and not when I was, but it took me a really long time to actually like, this is what I want to do. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna fucking part of my road to get to where I am today. But my sisters watched it my whole life, my cousins, and it was just one of those things that like, and I've heard this with people that I've talked to. It's like that initial moment, there's you know, and for me it was Stone Cold, you know, and he hooked me. I'm like, I gotta watch this. What is this? And from a very young age, it was just something I knew. I'm like, damn, man, like I want to do this, and I just never looked back. So it's fun. I think the initial moment for me was the beer truck incident. That was what, as a young girl, very, very, very young, that's like drew me in where I'm like, oh man, this is great. And I never looked back. So yeah, it's fun. It's fun.
Oh man, I was like the beer truck incident was like always one of my favorite.
Yeah, that was the moment.
Because like, and, you know, it's something about Austin too. Like he seems to be like that go-to point, right? So with like the beer truck incident, you have you know, when he drove the monster truck in, you know, his own truck, like the 4x4, like he had so many great like moments on Raw that you're just like, yeah, I got drawn right to him because of it.
Yep.
I'm just curious though, like being in the industry, right, and working in the business, I'm just wondering like, what's it like being a woman in the industry?
Absolutely, 100%, 100%. The industry is very empowering because of everything that's happened in the last few years with wrestling and women and whatnot. You know, there used to be, you know, time limits and stigmas on women in wrestling. And, you know, when I was very, very young, I would say 10, Lita was my biggest inspiration. And I'm talking like Essa Rio's days. I'm not talking Hardy Boy's days. Like when she first came out and she was mimicking his moves and she was doing all these things. I'm like, oh my God, that's awesome. So it's like, for me, it's like going based off of what hooked me. Besides Stone Cold, it was Lita. And it's like what hooked me. I'm like, as a woman in wrestling, it's all about woman empowerment. You know, like there's been a huge movement with women in the last few years and what they can do and whatnot. And it's like to be a part of that in wrestling is huge. Because for me, I feel like I could be a badass. I could be a bitch. I could be sexy. I could be tough. But that's what wrestling is. You know what I mean? So it's like to have all those characteristics of what makes a woman's wrestler and be successful with it is absolutely huge. So it's all about the history and what was paved before me that I try my hardest to follow. You know what I mean? So That's like a big thing with me, for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I see like the women's like, and I'll be honest. So it's one of those things. I have done other interviews for like other podcasts, and people will ask me all the time. They're like, "What's a promotion that you're watching?" Or like, "What are you really into?" And Goddesses of War is the only thing I talk about. And it's,
great.
Yeah, it's one of those. It's just one of those promotions because I'm a big advocate for women's wrestling because I know
Good.
Back in the day, it was just bra and panty matches. You know what I mean? And it was women can do so much more than what they're being labeled as. And now you're seeing like the Sashas and the Charlottes and obviously the Four Horsewomen and Alexa. But then you look further down, you see like Paige like doing great stuff. And I know she just recently retired, but then like there's this big bridge where, you know, you see Tasha Steelz is like tearing it up at Impact, and you'll see yourself and Gabby Ortiz and Adina Steele, and you guys are elevating a bar to help other women just become great. So it's definitely it's fun to watch, and I'm just like, man, I'm glad I get to be a part of the ride and just enjoyed the push that y'all are pushing through.
Absolutely. And we appreciate the support, believe me, because us women wrestlers, we really need it. So it's very, very appreciated when there's people out there who, you know, support us and whatnot. So for sure.
So I'm just curious though, man, we gotta get into these fun questions though. Like, What's the worst bump you've taken?
Oh my goodness. Oh boy, probably when I spiked myself. A few weeks ago, I had a taping that I did, and I spiked myself. I was doing a frog splash that I was supposed to miss, and I actually like hit my nose into the mat, which I've never done before, but I was like, I'm bleeding. I'm like, oh shit, I'm bleeding. It's the first time I ever drew blood in 3 years. Like, so probably that. And it was all on my own accord, which is very funny. So I would probably go with that.
Nice. So aside from being like that being like your worst bump, what's like the hardest hit you've ever taken?
Um, I would think my hardest matches, I would say match particularly because it goes hand in hand, would probably Masha, which is just soon to be aired. I would never go based off of our first match together. We joked about it like behind the scenes, like that. I was so green. I was so green in that match that's on YouTube. I'm like, don't judge that. And now we had a recent one that was very good, and I'm very excited for people to see that. So probably that one for sure.
Okay. And would you consider her to be one of the hardest hitters?
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. She's very hard hitting. She's a Japan trained wrestler. She knows what she's doing. Absolutely. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome.
And it was a great match. Yeah, she's a good girl.
So I wouldn't say you don't have to put names out, right? But I'm just very curious because we're going to put this on the flip side. What's been like one of the worst matches you've had?
I don't think I've ever had a like terrible match where like I looked back and was like, that was terrible. Like I think everybody that I've wrestled since, because I'm still like maybe like 2.5, 3 years in the business, it's never gonna be your best match. It happens, you know. So I never looked back and was like, oh my God, that was absolutely terrible. Like it just, and that's just being me being completely honest, you know. It's like I don't necessarily have a specific match or moment in mind where I'm like, oh God, erase that from history. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear you. It's something I've heard too from a lot of guys who have been in like, once they hit past that 6+ years, they say like they look back on their first 3 or 4 year match, first 3 or 4 years in their matches, and they're like, yeah, this wasn't good.
Yeah, for sure. I get it.
So I'm curious, all right. I know a lot of wrestlers, and I've been learning this lesson pretty quick, right? So a lot of wrestlers, they don't eat before a show, but they have like that post-match snack or post-match meal. So I'm very curious, like, do you have a post-match snack or a post-match meal that you
So that's funny you asked that. I'll be honest, I don't give a crap about like post-match meals. I eat because I'm a foodie, so I'll eat whatever I want. But if I had to pick post-match meals, I would probably go with like pizza or chicken tenders or buffalo wings or something that's really unhealthy. Maybe Wendy's. Like it always varies, but it's never good. It's never good.
Oh no. Yeah, because like the Invictus show, like I know Chaz and I were heading down back to Maryland, and I was like we were trying to figure out where we wanted to stop. We passed like every fast food joint, and we ended up choosing to go Wawa's. And I was like,
There you go. Okay, that's not as bad, but
I was
it's
like,
not great.
I know we passed like Wendy's. I was like, we go to Wendy's, and he's like, nah, we go to McDonald's. We're not going to McDonald's. We can go to Taco Bell. I'm not feeling Taco
I
Bell.
love it. I love
It's like pick one.
it.
So with that being said, I'm just very curious. What kind of advice would you give to up and coming wrestlers or people who want to get into the business?
Yeah. So for me, this has been a lifelong dream. So I've battled a lot of different like roadblocks and demons that have like prohibited me from doing this sooner. So my biggest advice is if you have a dream, go for it. You know, life's too short. Simple as that. Life is way too short to have to question what it is that you want to do or what you don't want to do. If you have a dream and you really want something, go for it, because you never know when your time is up. You know, being an addict in recovery, like I struggled with addiction and mental health issues and the whole nine. So to have that in my back pocket, you know, there's a lot of people out there who probably struggle with the same thing. So for me, it's like very important to embrace life and embrace time and embrace what it is that you want to do, because you never know.
So like I'm a prime example of I thought I was going to die many times years ago, of course. And I finally made that decision to shoot for my dreams that I've had since I was a very young girl and to actually live them and have a WWE tryout and have, all these opportunities that have came to me in a very short amount of time. It proves that, if you believe in yourself, if you believe in something, go for it because you never know. And if you don't do what you set out to do, you'll regret it. And I knew that if I didn't do this, I would regret it for the rest of my life. So to actually be living it and doing what I set out to do from a very young age, my advice to anybody is go for it. The worst that can happen is it doesn't happen. And that's okay. You pick yourself up from it, you move on, you go forward, but try. Absolutely. You're worth it. Try. 100%. Vicious Vicky advice. Here you have it.
I like that though. That's great though. And
Yeah,
the fact that you're able to relate to it like based on past events is massive.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, we're gonna have some fun. So what I need is one do and one don't of the
Okay. I'm here for this. I'm all about having fun. So let's go.
Okay, well give me one do and one don't of the locker room.
Okay. Go
So
for it.
Oh no, I'm asking for you. Like this
Oh, me?
one do, one
Oh,
do. Yeah.
I thought they were gonna give me like a speed round question.
No.
Oh, geez.
That's
A do would be hygiene. Take care of yourself. A don't would be don't clean up after yourself because that happens a lot in locker rooms where people don't clean up after themselves. And I'm like, that's rude. And I end up doing it. Big do and don't. Big do and don't.
Yeah. So do practice hygiene and also don't leave a mess. That's what knock it off.
That's right. 100%. Yes, absolutely.
Well, that is it for our big hard-hitting questions, but we do have the second best segment in the entire 3 Count podcast.
That's what I was waiting for.
Yeah, so we're gonna have it. It's the 3 Count podcast 10 count questions, the world famous 10 count questions. Here's how it works. I'm gonna fire off 10 questions at you rapid fast. And
Okay.
it's whatever first comes to mind.
Okay.
So we're gonna put on the imaginary timer. Bing! And here we go. SmackDown or Raw?
Raw.
Favorite movie?
Dumb and Dumber.
Oh, it's a classic. 3 things that you always have to have on you.
Eyelash glue, deodorant, and perfume.
Okay. Favorite color?
Pink.
Oh, okay. Sweet or salty snacks?
Sweet.
Favorite cartoon?
Oh, geez. SpongeBob.
Believe it or not, that's actually the one cartoon I legit tell my daughter is like, you can't watch this.
Don't watch this.
All right. Deadlifts or squats?
Squats.
Favorite podcast?
Oh, I mean, okay, so I have to say Bob Culture Podcast, but you guys are right there. So after this interview, I'd have to say you guys are up there.
Hey, that's what I'm talking about.
And 80s Wrestling, the podcast. Plug it now. It's ranking in the systems for sure.
I like it. Nominate one person that you want to see on this podcast.
Ooh! If you could get Lita, I would marry you. I know you're married, but
Yeah, I was like, yeah. I was like, I don't know how she feels about it. She's in the
I'm
next.
just playing around. But yes, Lita would be great.
Yeah, I definitely been trying to reach out to Amy for a little while now. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, for sure. She's my favorite for sure.
And then last but not least, my favorite question to ask every single person that comes on this show: favorite curse word.
Fuck.
Yeah, like there's any other word.
Nothing else I use but fuck.
I'm never gonna monetize this podcast on YouTube because I always do this. I was like, I don't care.
That's a great question. I've never been asked that, and I absolutely adore it. So good job.
Well, so that's all the questions I have for you. All I need from you now is to let our listeners and our viewers know where they can find you.
Yes. So I'm on Instagram and Twitter at the Vivacious Vicky. It's _vicious _Vicky _ and on Facebook, Vicky Andrea. I hate to give my government out, but you'll find me. Everybody's friends with me. And yeah, on my Instagram, I have a link tree where you can click, and there's YouTube, my merchandise, everything. So guys, follow. I'm all here for all of you. So yeah, that's it.
Bet. And there you have it, guys. This is it. This is the end of the episode right here. But this is the 3 Count Podcast presents Now Entering the Ring. And like I said, I'm your host, Clifford Red Dog Miller. And like we mentioned, this is Now Entering with the vivacious, the vicious, the victorious Vicky. And you guys know what to do. Tune into the next episode and be there, or you wait till this episode ends and the next one plays, because we need those listens. Peace.
Sweet. Thanks, guys.
What's going on, 3 Count Nation? I'm Clifford Red Dog Miller with the catchphrase. But what I really want to do right now, go to twitter.com, right? Go over there, find us at the 3 Count _ pod, give us a follow, give us a like, give us a comment. We want to talk to you guys. Go to IG at the 3 Count pod. Give us a like, give us a follow, leave us a comment. We want to interact with you. Go to youtube.com, give a subscribe, turn the bell on, turn the notifications, leave a comment. We want to talk to you. Go to anchor.fm / the 3 Count Podcast, and in there, you can leave us a message, and we will talk to you. Basically, what I'm trying to tell you is that we want to talk to you. We want to have fun with you guys, and we love listening to what you guys have to say. Also, one thing I need you to do for me, the 3 Count Podcast also has merchandise. At prowrestlingtees.com / the 3 Count Pod. Please go buy our t-shirts. We love you guys, and we hope you love us too. So show us some support, please.